All right, let's talk about dairy. I believe early on you mentioned cheese, so dairy's not totally off the menu for you. But what percentage would that make up and what different varieties?
For me personally, dairy represents, I don't know, 2% of my diet, and more of it. You have butter, cheese, ghee. Sometimes I'll use some liquid dairy like cream, like if I'm making an ice cream or something like that I might have from time to time. I think that, in my own personal life, dairy, I know if I consume a lot of it's a net negative in a couple ways. But I tolerate it pretty well. There are people out there clearly that dairy is not is not good for them. They struggle with that. So I think that, for many people, dairy proteins tend to be, well, let me put it a couple ways. What is the purpose of dairy? The purpose of dairy is to make things get bigger, right? To grow things. That is the whole purpose of dairy. So dairy is good at that. I mean, if you needed to gain weight or size, dairy would be a good advantage for you to have. It is very easy to overconsume dairy because it has some of these, people talk about the casomorphones, these kind of morphine-like peptides which are in dairy. And these things, kind of stimulate you to consume them in high quantities. It's for good reason because, you want a calf or a baby human to drink lots of milk so that it can grow. So it has this reinforcing qualities that allow us to, in many cases, overconsume. So liquid dairy for many people, if you're too thin, then yeah, that's a good way to gain weight. But if you're overweight, consuming liquid dairy in the form of milks and creams and things like that is going to be a problem. And then also, fat versus the protein. Dairy protein is high quality. There's no doubt that whey protein is incredibly, it's a very easily utilizable thing, and it's great for, whey protein has been used as a weightlifting supplement, bodybuilding supplement for decades with good result for most people. However, the proteins can be something that a lot of people react to, whether it's the caseins, whether it's the whey, whether it's, the different subtypes, A1, A2 is what a lot of people have talked about. Those things tend to be more problematic. And so therefore dairy fat, in isolated things like butter, ghee, maybe even cream, some people tolerate that better. But again, the downside of that is if they overconsume it, they overconsume fat, then they put on excess body weight. And then again, anytime we have excess body fat, up to a point, it's a net negative. Fat, excess body fat is inflammatory. We know that. These inflammatory adipokines that are secreted by the fat lead to, downstream general inflammation, whether it's arthritis, gut inflammation, brain inflammation. So having excess body fat is a problem. And if you consume too much excess fat, even on the context of a carnivore diet, you're going to have problems.
You mentioned whey there. Is that something you'll ever have to make a simple shake or anything like that?
I consumed a ton of whey throughout my life. Over the years. At this point, given that I consume a massive amount of protein just normally from day to day, it's unnecessary for me. I can see where, people ask me that all the time. Like, hey, what about a whey protein shake? And I tell them, hey, look, it's better than a lot of things. I would rather you get your protein in the form of, a whole unprocessed food just because you get more with that, and I think fat is important. I think that the fat soluble vitamins that come in an egg or come in a ribeye steak are, overall more beneficial than just isolated protein. Now, again, if you have a specific need for a certain amount of protein and you're struggling to get it and it's inconvenient and I get it, it's not convenient to cook a steak every 6 hours. For most people, for many people. Now, for me, it's not an issue. I work from home, so I can kind of eat when I want and cook when I want. So yeah, it's not the worst thing you can do. Because there's this argument about ultra processed foods, and by definition, some whey proteins would fall into that category. Ultra processed foods. If you look at, versus processed foods. Ultra processing, often dictates more than 5 ingredients and ingredients that you just don't have on your kitchen counter. Nobody has carrageenan and no one has, polysorbate 80 and mono and diglycerides on their kitchen pantry. At least most people don't. I've never heard of it. I don't know where you can even buy the stuff. So when you start seeing ingredients like that, and then some of these protein powders do, you look at the ingredients list and it's like, soy lecithin and all these other weird things that are in there, and it might be an ingredient list 25 ingredients long. Then you start getting into these ultra processed foods, and are they problematic for some people? Yeah, I mean, there's whey proteins that are like ingredient, whey protein, nothing else, and you add your own. That's probably better. You can add your own if you want to add a little bit of monk fruit in there to sweeten it up, or a little drop of vanilla in there. That's probably a better way to do it, quite honestly.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch a full episode. I'll see you over there.
The last 9 years, I have probably consumed, without exaggeration, like 10,000 steaks. That was one of the things that struck me 10 years ago when I first went carnivore. It was like, I don't even know my digestive system's working because I don't feel anything. I have no perception of digestion.